tirades are often in the eye of the beholders, Aaron, but we're getting a lot of response to what Senator Gillibrand of New York had to say about why she was a no vote on Judge Kavanaugh. But there was very little excitement either in the media or among senators when, for example, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, sitting on the Supreme Court, had said to Donald Trump that he's a faker. He has no consistency about him. How has he gotten away with not turning over his tax returns? Went on to say, can't imagine what the country would be with Donald Trump as our president. For the country, it could be 4 years. For the court, it could be. I don't even want to contemplate that. Now, she is free to have her opinions. Judge Kavanaugh, of course, free to have her opinions. But this gets back to a sore point that maybe we saw echoed again on the part of Senator Gillibrand. What is fair and right and a perception of bias? And how will people treat that? For example, how will investors treat that and where all of this goes? I thought it would be a worthy topic to explore with our financial pros here. But Dan, one of the things that came to my mind on this is you got to be consistent. If you're going to say that he's going to be biased and you're going to ignore someone else who sits on the court who has exhibited bias, I have no horse in this race, but I think that's horse something else. I don't think it's right.
I don't think it's right either. I just don't like how the Supreme Court specifically now is getting into the political world. I mean, can't we have one area? Can't we just keep something somewhat sacred like the Supreme Court and keep them out of politics?
I think that's over. I think it's over. Because I don't think that's ever going to be the case.
It's a slippery slope, Neil. And it's not a good one.
Christina, what do you think?
No, I completely agree. I'm smiling right now because it's a hope, right? It's just like a hope that we want zero tariffs and across the globe, but that's just not a reality right now. And we saw that when Kavanaugh took the stand and spoke, and he did have some partisan comments. And I think that's what's angered a lot of people, not necessarily what the truth is or what not, but more the partisan comments that's coming from a potential Supreme Court judge.
We should point out there have been partisan comments coming from those already sitting on the high court, so that isn't new. But Lindsay, one of the immediate reactions I had is you could argue that he got his nomination approved because he got so intemperate or impolitic, or that he was in your face, very emotional because a lot was on the line. Having said all of that, do you worry that the court then is always seen through that political prism and it's not going to change? Maybe it goes back to 2000 and Gore Bush, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be a microscope on what the Supreme Court does from here on out, and Kavanaugh especially as we move forward. But I think that the judgments that come down the line once he is in his seat can redeem him and the court. So I'm hopeful that we can get away from this politicization.
A lot of these protesters, not to make this a sexist issue, who are women, and at the end of the day, they will not trust any judgment he makes on women. Do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, I think just take the other side. What if you're a female with sons? All of a sudden, your sons could suddenly be accused of these sort of, sexual assault violations that, without due course, without any cooperation. So, I mean, I think you could see both sides from a women's perspective, too. So, because I've had a lot of friends that have young sons that are worried about this right now.
Dan, looking at what happens here and then the next Supreme Court nomination, because the average age of these other justices, 112 or something like that. Now, I'm joking, it's 111. but this is going to happen again. We're going to have raucous hearings again. I suspect we'd still see these same crowds even without the Dr. Ford and these other allegations. I suspect this is the way it is.
Yeah, we've now set a very dangerous precedent, Neil. And look, let's go all the way back to the founding fathers. They really built a pretty good system, which we are now corrupting. We had the three branches of government, and now they're getting all mixed together. It wasn't intended that way. And let's not forget, it's a long time ago, but 225 years ago, George Washington warned us about the dangers of political parties. More loyalty to party than country, and that's exactly what's playing out right now, and it's not good.
The fear was, and I think you touched on it, Christina, that the judge might have tipped his hand where his bias would be. Does he work hard to disavow people of that notion? Or is every decision he makes going to be looked through that prism?
Well, that's why we have conservative judges, and that's why they fall into that category. And I think that, yes, unfortunately, that was what angered a lot of people. You had people that came forward afterwards, friends of his, saying that that's what angered me, the way he
portrayed himself on the stand, and you want somebody that's going to be fair and balanced and look at the case and not look at the case, whatever case they're dealing with.
Would you be that way if people had made, in your eyes, outrageous allegations? Would you be calm and just
No,
see,
so that shows too a sense of like your reputation, everything, your family, everything is at stake. But I'm not going to weigh in on whether it's right or wrong. I still think that the major issue and why it's raged so many people is that we are discounting a continuous problem that seems to be existing not only in America but around the globe, and that's sexual assault, and then not wanting to believe or who to believe and how to treat the situation and to be more open about it. And so I think that's the bigger issue, and that's why people are so angry, because several people have come forward, whether they are right or wrong or their memory may be off. We can't discount people that have gone through that experience, and I think that's the most important part here. And by nominating him and him passing through, I think that to them is seen as, what about us? What did I go through?
All right, that's a fair enough thing. The other line of that is we held him to a tougher standard to prove an accusation than the accuser, who we held to a looser standard, right?
Yes, exactly. And the other argument too, him, arguing and taking a tough stance on the Democrats who were clearly against him and berating him, and it was just a horrible point in time for our country watching that hearing, is that what if he didn't? He just sat there and took it, right? Does that mean that he's going to let the government tell him how to make decisions when he is on the Supreme Court? He needs to stand for himself.
It was a Faustian bargain. He knew that it had to be that way to overcome these accusations. But by being that way, to Christina's point, he's invited this. In the end, it is probably not fair or right, but it is what it is. All right, but I've always argued here, folks, we have three